We've just finished Cricbuzz Combox like a few minutes ago. We generally have 10 overs to sit, relax, maybe have a bit of a meal, then come back and do our next show. Now, this kind of throws things out of gear, and that's the kind of match it's been. Completely out of gear, out of whack, and here's why. 68 all out on the anniversary of a 49 all out against Kolkata on this very day in 2017. Highest score, Suyash Prabhu Desai with 15 of 20 deliveries. Glenn Maxwell looked decent, looked like he could rescue them. He didn't get too many, 12 of 11. And it was the story of Marco Janssen's first over, and then Natarajan doing what he's done throughout the season so far. And a couple for Jagdish Suchit, just in case everyone didn't want to join the party. That's what we've had so far. Bangalore in their first, well, not in their first 20 overs. They couldn't bat the 20. Let's see what our panel has to think about that. I'm joined on Cricbuzz Live by Joy Bhattacharjya, who I had met a few seconds ago on Combox, and Shaun Pollock. Shaun, I'll come to you first because Joy and I spoke for about 7 minutes on Combox. That first over, Marco Jansen, the South African connection, Aiden Markram picking up catches. Other than the fact that Faf du Plessis got a beauty, South Africa all the way then.
Yeah, it was a fantastic start, wasn't it? And really impressed by what I've seen from him. He's got an amazing ability to shape the ball back as a tall left arm, but sometimes you see the tall guys with that inability to get it to shape. And he's definitely got that. So when you give him that new ball, and he often doesn't get the new ball, but when he gets that chance, he can show what it's worth. And, whatever you pay for him in the auction, if he does that in 1 over and ends up winning the game for you, it's almost worth it. Because of the effort he put in. So that was a brilliant performance. I mean, just from a South African perspective, I was a bit surprised. He's been brilliant. He's made his debut, I think, in 2 or 3, even 3 of the formats over the last 6 months. And I actually left him out at one stage in the Bangladesh series, and I couldn't understand it because he keeps offering that promise. He keeps offering the insight into what he's capable of doing. And I think he's a fantastic find for South Africa. We haven't had many left-arm options over the years, and as young as he is, the bound to bounce he gets on any surface, whether it's a slow pitch or a fast pitch, is going to be something that's going to ask questions for the rest of his career. So exciting start. And also what you'd say about this game, you often have the bowling coaches and they say to the kids, okay, we need to hit top of off, we need to practice hitting top of off, and they go, yeah, but coach, that works for the 4-day game and maybe a little bit for the 1-day game. Well, this was a prime example. There was 3 peach deliveries that from the 2 left-handers that hit the top of off. So this is definitely a package you got to keep for the young kids and say, listen, even in the T20 format, look how important top of off is.
Yeah, I mean, start off with a big wicket like Faf du Plessis, and later on in the innings, we saw Harshal Patel as well accounted for that top of off delivery. Hasaranga played a bit of wild swipe to it, but those two were guys who were not actually trying to attack the bowling and had their head in the air. But Joy, to follow up to what Shaun said, you have to, it's not always that you'll say, of course, the captain's had a good day, he finished off with a great catch, but to give Jansen the first over, to have that second slip in for Virat Kohli. So Williamson obviously had his plans in mind.
Yeah, and to be honest, they look even better when they work out. But yes, that second slip of Virat Kohli, that shaping the ball away. And, I was just picking up on Polly on that point that right now, you have a situation where people are so prepared to slog the way they get their foot out of the left foot out of the way to try and slog, that if you bowl that conventional length up front, you are right now, a lot of bowlers are going back to what they call test match lengths to get wickets. And it's working for them. I mean, Shami is a classic case. Shami is getting wickets on that. The previous match, we just saw Yash Dayal pick up Shreyas Iyer on a classic, ball beating the bat, left arm was slanted across, edging the ball to the keeper. So I think all that it's making a comeback, because when the unconventional, the batters move to the unconventional, sometimes the good conventional delivery is actually the best delivery up front. And I think most teams are seeing the teams who are taking wickets up front are taking wickets from bowlers who are attacking bowlers even in test formats.
And there's an example of someone who's in the opposition. Unfortunately, someone like a Hazelwood probably won't have enough runs to play with. But Shaun, he's another example of someone who, not just test match length, but he is your traditional 4-day, 5-day type of bowler who's adapted himself to this format.
Yeah, and particularly when you can get some bounce, it can be a little bit more difficult to do that when you're a shorter individual. But with the height that him and Jansen in particular possess, if they hit that length perfectly, it is so difficult to whack away. I mean, even the shots that Maxwell got away with a high element of risk at that stage of the innings. And I think also, just to back up Joy's point, is that it's so important to be able to do that, not only up front, but also in the middle. You know, if I always used to say to the bowlers, in those first 3 or 4 deliveries when a man walks to the crease, if you hit top of off, I'll be very surprised if that delivery goes to the boundary. And too often bowlers are quite keen to try the variations before someone gets settled, and they offer up for freebie. The other point is if you can get the ball to move. And I think that's another point up front. If you hit that good area, but with a little bit of movement, it makes it particularly difficult for the batters.
Now, I'll just stay with Shaun for a moment. We did discuss, of course, Jansen. He started the rot, but it was not enough just to start the rot. You wanted to make a 10 for 3 into a 68 all out rather than a 10 for 3 with a recovery to come. And I think overall as a unit, Shaun, this is what they'll be most pleased about, because other than maybe having a quality wrist spinner, they've got the height of Jansen, they've got the skiddiness and the Yorkers of Natarajan, Umran Malik's sheer pace, and Bhuvi's movement. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, Sucheth did his job today, didn't he? 3 overs, 2 for 12. We thought he might come under pressure, but as the situation of the game presented itself, it was fantastic for him. He could come in and they couldn't really take a risk. And I think they've got a fantastic balanced attack. Natarajan is brilliant when it comes to what length he wants to hit in his middle period, and then he's got his game plan at the death. And Umran Malik is exciting. It's great to see a guy charging in like that. I know they showed a lot of Dale Steyn about what he maybe would be working with him. I'm sure he's offering him some pointers, but he's also come through the system and been helped to get to where he is now. I still just think if they can get him to just shape that odd delivery. We saw one delivery where he came slightly wide of the crease and it straightened beautifully to the right-hander. If he could learn the art of a little bit more shape, I think that's going to stand him in good stead, because on some of the flatter Indian surfaces, you're going to be able to just stand and with that pace, just hit through the line. But if he can just get a bit of sideways movement, whichever way he wants to do it, that'll mean that he'll be more effective. And going forward, he'll be able to pick up wickets on all kinds of surfaces. But from what we've seen, even the progression from last year, really impressed by him.
Yeah, and it's that little balance you have to strike, Joy. I mean, whether you look at his technical side, you just want to stand back and say, fine, whatever he has, let him go for that, and then make the right kind of tweaks, both mentally and physically and technically, of course, to develop him rather than try and change him.
Yeah. I can't, and Shaun will know much more about this, but I can't belabor this point too much. Too many Indian bowlers used to come with their unique actions, go to the pace academies, and come out with chest on actions, because that was the action that beefed up to a size that they really didn't have the body. Their upper bodies were made too strong and too stiff. So many bowlers, and nowadays I think it's much more of a science. They look at your best characteristics, they try and heighten it, they try and give you tips, but they don't try and change your action. I can name at least, and a few of them are doing Hindi commentary on this league, just how difficult it is when, at one time, because there was not so much video, so a foreign coach came and told you, okay, this is how you have to do it, and they just follow that, and they'd be completely different bowlers. They lose that edge. I think that is not happening anymore, and what Shaun is saying is absolutely just tweak. Give him one more weapon. Don't change his basic action. Within that action, can you give him one more weapon to do something with? Can you give him a little bit of movement? And that's enough. You're absolutely right. At 150, if you can get a little bit of movement, that's all you need.
Yeah, I mean, I know we tend to jump the gun at times, but it's close and not that close to October, November, Shaun. Are you giving him that boarding pass to Australia yet? I mean, you don't want to throw him in too early, and yet, if you've got something like that and you think it's a finished product, you've got to use it.
If you want my honest answer, I'll give him a boarding pass, but I just want him to be part of the squad and to be in the nets and helping the team. You've got too many fantastic bowlers at this stage. You don't want to ruin someone by exposing them a little bit too early. You have to have a very good element of control on those quicker surfaces in Australia as well. But, if you just look around at what you've got, there's no ways he sneaks his way into the top 6 for me. But I would definitely take him, because not only the experience of him learning how to bowl on those different surfaces, but in the net practice, when you're going to be facing some quick bowlers from other opposition, I think he'll be a fantastic guy to have around.
All right, hold that thought for a second, Shaun. So fine, you've got that plane. You've got the window seat given to Umran Malik. Maybe he doesn't get into the 11. Sitting next to him, T. Natarajan. Yes? No?
Yeah, it could definitely be. I like him as the left arm option. I like what he does at the back end. He had a tour of Australia already, where he went pretty well. He made his test debut there. He played some one-day games. I think he played some T20s as well. So, yeah, I wouldn't have any problem going forward if he continues to impress with what he's doing. I think he's also gaining in confidence and also gaining experience. He was relatively inexperienced when we were exposed to him for the first time. And each season that you play, you learn a little bit more about yourself. You learn a bit more about what's required. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, good luck being a selector for the moment. Joy, to look back at Bangalore's batting, because it wasn't the worst surface in the world. We've had situations where the conditions have dictated low totals. This, we can pretty much say, was not one of them. What do Bangalore look back? How do they assess their own batting effort?
I think they'll have to look at all the batsmen at various stages saying they made poor decision making. I mean, Lee Faf du Plessis out of it, and Kohli got a first ball when he was out in the first ball. But Glenn Maxwell at that stage, did he need to take the shot that he did try and make? Prabhu Desai hung around. I don't think he's got much more capacity for that. Dinesh Karthik was plain unlucky. And see, it's as they say, like lemony snicket. It's a series of unfortunate incidents. And the only way Bangalore can actually, I'll tell you one thing honestly, though, Gautam. When you have days like this, and I've seen days like this with Kolkata, there's no point discussing this in the dressing room. You go there, when the match is over, you just forget about this match. You finish the match off, you go, you start your practice, you get players into the routine for the next match, and you forget about it. Because every player knows exactly how badly what has happened. You want to talk about this match, talk later, but this kind of a defeat is so big and dispiriting that you don't dwell on it. There's no point dwelling on it because so many things went wrong that it doesn't make sense. So what they'll probably do is, okay, guys, this match is over. Pack your bags, go, take morning off. You don't want to practice tomorrow evening. Day after, let's talk about the next match, and let's start. Bowling captains, fielding captains, batting captains, fielding captains, bowling captains, call your guys, do your separate meeting. But they will not talk about this match. Doesn't make sense.
To be fair, the match isn't over yet. I mean, I know this is not a 120, 125 where you can say it's not over yet, but I mean, it have to be something really bizarre to happen if this one doesn't go the way we expect it to go. But having said that, Shaun, at what stage do Hyderabad start thinking, okay, we need to just make sure nothing ridiculous happens, but net run rate?
Yeah, definitely. I think they need to get in there and try and be as positive as they can, because as soon as you put away a few boundaries, fields have to change. And there are very few opportunities where you can actually say this is a game where we can improve our net run rate and do ourselves a lot of good for the rest of the tournament. So just like Delhi Capitals did the other night, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out hard. Once they get themselves settled, just have a look at what the ball's doing and then look to put the opposition under pressure. I would agree with Joy about having a look at the only thing I would say is that isn't this the second game where it's kind of happened? DK got them out of jail, didn't he? Where he got a 70 or 80 at the back end, where they were also in immense trouble. And the only thing that worries me in the current era sometimes of these T20 cricketers is you do sometimes need to just assess that, hold on, things aren't going according to plan. And for 3 or 4 or 5 overs, I actually just need to get stuck in here. Make sure I don't offer up any risky shots. Give us a bit of a platform. And you never know. We post 120. Those kind of totals tend to win. But I would agree with Joy. I don't think 68 is going to be on the winning side tonight.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't be. And wickets shouldn't matter ideally. I mean, not too many, obviously. But if you had to pick, Joy, between a 69 for 1 in 12 overs versus a 69 for 5 in 6 overs, you'd probably take the latter? Or am I saying 69?
Doesn't matter, absolutely. You wouldn't mind. I think they just say that, in the first 3-4 overs, they don't want to lose more than 2 wickets. If they lose more than 2 wickets, they'll shut it down a bit and, take it a bit easier. But till 2 wickets, I think they'll still go whamming. They'll still go hitting because it doesn't make sense. It's not so much of a risk at all. And, I was just thinking about it. The last time I was sitting and watching a total of 67 unfold, I think Shaun Pollock was bowling at the other end. Shaun Pollock was bowling at our batsmen. So I remember that very distinctly. It was in Bombay in 2008, Mumbai in 2008 at the Wankhede.
I think we came out and whacked it quickly. I think it was 4 or 5 overs that we had got. I think Sanath got off to an absolute flyer.
Came out and smashed it. I remember Shoaib Akhtar taking a wicket and then Ridhiman Saha dropping a catch, I think, of somebody. I think Jaiswalia.
Yeah, well, there you go. Stranger things have happened, but we're not expecting anything so strange to happen here. Possibly the plan, Shaun, Kane Williamson, camps at one end, Abhishek Sharma, Nicholas Puran, Aiden Markram, Rahul Tripathi, Go on, guys. Have a party. It's a quick one. We've got a plane to... Oh, not a plane to catch. Dinner appointment at the hotel.
A bus to get back to the hotel. No, I think Williamson needs to actually also, there's not as much pressure on him, because he's not looking at a massive total, but he needs to play. I think he needs to just get into his rhythm, get a score under the belt, and that's important for their team going forward. But as quick as they can do it, the better.
I mean, I don't think it's even any point looking at the Bangalore bowling, trying to assess if they have enough, but maybe just have one glance at it to see what's coming up Hyderabad's way. Harshal Patel, Hasaranga, Hazelwood, the three H's. Siraj always contributes. It's got to be Joy. The other thing is Bangalore will know that it's not going to 20 overs. So who are our three best bowlers? 3 into 4 possibly?
Yeah, they'll throw them the ball. I think it's Siraj, Hazelwood, Hasaranga, these three you'll see early on. They'll definitely throw these three in, because I think Harshal Patel anyway needs the ball to be scuffed up a bit to, do a little bit more than that. I think these three guys, expect Hasaranga in the first 6 as well. Batsman trying to score runs fast, somebody's going to give a miss hit, take a couple of wickets, God knows what's going to happen after that.
Yeah, that's all we have in our assessment here. Now, I can tell you, in most instances, Shaun Pollock never shies away from hard work. But when it comes to Cricbuzz Combox, occasionally he revels in the fact that he could slip out of one from time to time. Shaun, are we having a Combox, aren't we?
No, it's official. No Combox. We'll be back at the end of the innings.
All right, there you go. You've heard it from Shaun Pollock. I have nothing more to say there. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Shaun. And we probably, as in all 99% likelihood, we'll see you once this match is done and dusted to talk about this one, as well as that heartbreaker for Kolkata against Gujarat yet again. That's all on Cricbuzz Live.